4 of us for 10 minutes.
Well, you can just see some of the participants are coming into the room now. So we will leave it another 30 seconds or so.
Yep, I've allowed 5 minutes at the start, so I think we're good.
Lovely. Okay, well, it is 12:30. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for coming along today. I can see there are still some people joining as I speak. This is a really interesting series of webinars that are going to be booked in for the next 7 weeks. So this is a 30-minute lunchtime learning session with Amberjack, who are going to take you through today in the expert series, basically setting the baseline for your campaign and essentially looking at laying the foundations for an effective early campaign. And there's some really interesting information that Sue is going to share with you. I'm intrigued anyway to hear what Sue's got to say. We've just had a chat. And I encourage you all, for those who are just joining, good afternoon. Can you all please pose your questions in the Q&A tab? Now, that is beside the chat function. Feel free to put any chats in the chat function, but for a specific question directly, please put it in the Q&A. Sue's going to talk for around 20 minutes, I believe, and we have some time at the end for questions as well. So without further ado, I think that was around 60 seconds, Sue. I'm going to hand it over to you. All right, take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for joining our first session in our Amberjack Early Careers Expert Series. This one obviously hosted by the ISE. Thank you for that. My name's Sue Hadley and I am the Head of Attraction at Amberjack. Amberjack, as many of you will already know, is a leading provider of RPO services to the early careers sector. With expertise across traction, assessment, candidate management, technology and learning and development. Today, we're specifically going to be exploring laying the foundations for an effective early careers attraction campaign. And we'll be focusing on auditing your attraction strategy and tactics and how this period of discovery can really set the tone for a successful campaign. It is, as Emma mentioned, it's designed to be a short session over lunch, so I hope you've all brought something to enjoy with you. We do have a little time for the Q&A later in the session, so please, if you have any questions, as you mentioned, do put them in the Q&A tab at the bottom. If we can't answer them all in this session, we will include them in our 6 p.m. follow-up later, which you'll all receive a copy of. So we're going to get started. As I said, I am Amberjack's Head of Attraction. And in my 15 years with Amberjack, our attraction team has managed hundreds of early careers campaigns for a huge range of clients from across the globe and across sectors. Over this whole series, we're going to be giving you some insights into how we build attraction campaigns and share some tangible hints and tips on how you can build an effective attraction strategy and roll out a campaign to deliver you the best ROI. This session is just me. Sorry about that, but some of our upcoming sessions do have some guest speakers as well. So if you haven't already, please do sign up to follow up on some of the detail we're going to go into. I've tried to make this not a very high slide heavy session, but I do have one or two visualization that I will share as we go that I think will help. And if I can navigate Zoom effectively, that will be good for all of us. So to begin with, in our experience, there are 4 key stages to creating an effective early careers attraction campaign. The first being discovery, which we'll be talking about today, covering all facets of an attraction audit that are aligned for you to build your attraction campaign builds. Complementing this period of discovery is the second stage is research. In next week's session, we're going to be covering using labour market analytics and other data sources to inform your attraction strategy. And the third key stage is, of course, implementation. We've got sessions coming up later in the month to talk about some of the specifics of this stage, like media, universities and paid socials, where we'll go into more detail. So as I say, make sure that you do sign up and we'll put the chat link in the chat to do that a little bit later on. And the fourth and final stage is review. So next month, we'll actually be joined by one of our clients to talk about the review stages of a campaign. and how we use data to evaluate and evolve our attraction campaigns. I am going to try and stop sharing. I don't think I did share. Did I not share in the first place?
No. And
Quick
you are now.
visualization of the 4 stages.
Yeah, sorry. That is it. It's perfect. Right.
No problem. Okay, so we're going to begin, as we begin all our employer attraction campaigns that go through this period of discovery, this is where we're really going to get under the skin of the campaign requirements, what's gone before and what ambitions do we have for the future. So at Amberjack, we offer and actively encourage our employers who are unsure about their attraction strategies to take advantage of our attraction audit. Sometimes we'll do a more simple mini version of this as we prepare a campaign, but we do also offer it as a separate service. This is fundamental to our early career attraction experts taking an independent review of the attraction lifecycle end to end and making observations and recommendations that you can deploy to improve your campaign and results. So today we're going to run through the key areas we'd recommend are analysed for the best impact on your campaign. Of course, you can carry out your own audit, so this will give you some steer on how best to go about that. It can be difficult to be objective though, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know, so independent reviews can bring wider experience and knowledge into play. But we're going to begin by taking a look at the pros and cons of completing an attraction audit. And again, if I manage to do it correctly, you'll be able to see that now. So as you'd hope, there are a number of advantages of doing an attraction audit. So identifying trends and aligning to market best practice. We're looking not only at your campaign, but bringing to you other experience, research and knowledge that we have to help you understand the standards you're already achieving and those that you want to achieve. It can help you identify areas of improvement. We're not looking to just obviously replay your situation back to you. We're looking for opportunities to realise short to long-term wins that will help you have the biggest impact on your campaigns. It can provide credibility. This can be particularly effective when evidencing recommendations to stakeholders that perhaps have more traditional or anecdotal views on your attraction activity. And it's useful for planning and building. Once you've audited and made recommendations, you can begin to look ahead at what your future campaign will look like and what you need to raise to achieve your goals. Finally, we'd obviously say an independent review ensures you're avoiding bias or supposition, and any evaluation and recommendations come backed by a high level of skill, experience and knowledge that we have in the market. There are some potential disadvantages to completing an audit. Is it going to be costly? It will likely cost, yes, but can you afford not to do it? At Amberjack, we actually offer anyone who engages us for an attraction audit to recoup that spend should they choose to engage us to deliver their attraction campaign. So this can help support your business case for obtaining that initial budget. Secondly, it's important to note it does take some time. If you're auditing in-house, it'll take a significant amount of capacity to do a thorough audit. If you're outsourcing, it will obviously require less of your time, but your input is highly valued, so you'll need to consider some time to contribute to that process. Our audits probably take us around 3 to 4 weeks end to end to complete. So that's the gathering of data, setting an initial review meeting with your input, reviewing, researching, analysing, and then ultimately preparing in-depth reports and recommendations for you to take away. And finally, can you be transparent with the information that you provide? Whether you're doing that internally or externally, be prepared to be ready to share. Otherwise, it'll be impossible to provide an honest insight and recommendation for you. Right, going to stop sharing so you're not all reading whilst I'm trying to have a chat with you. So whether you're looking to carry out your own attraction audit or engage an independent third party, what areas of attraction should we be auditing? What might we be looking for and why? So we have over 60 questions across 12 key areas in our attraction audit. Today, we've only got 30 minutes. So I'm going to be giving you a whistle-stop tour of some examples and ideas to get you started. Firstly, we start looking at the current situation. We want to find out everything that you're currently doing. What are your requirements? What do you think that your audience looks like? What are your diversity ambitions? What applications process do you have in place? What tools do you use, like your ATS? And what challenges do you typically experience? We're obviously trying to uncover the context, both of what you do now, but also your ambition for your future campaigns and any particular pain points that you're experiencing along the way. Once we understand your current situation, your ambitions for your future campaign, we begin to take a look at the market. Now, the market is obviously a big heading, but at the core of your attraction strategy, you need to understand where your organization fits when it comes to talent acquisition. We want to know who are your competitors. How does your salary and remuneration package stack up? What does the supply and demand for your particular roles in your particular area look like? And what is the diversity of the talent pool? So when we look at competitors, we need to look not only at expected sector competitors, but organizations looking for your talent. And that can be different. So probably one of the best relatable examples I can give you is something like a finance graduate. So sometimes stakeholders of a tech company or a retailer might feel that their offer for finance graduates is market leading in their industry. And of course, why wouldn't they want to come and work for us? But for a central service role like finance, the world really is a graduate's oyster. They could work for one of the big four. They could work for international banks, trading firms, tech, FMCG, pharma, engineering, and the list goes on. So your competitors are actually organizations who want to hire your potential talent. So really, we want to understand where you sit in the talent market, which helps us make recommendations that will ultimately set you apart. The next stage that we start to take a look at in the attraction audit is advertising. We do this quite early on in the process, as around 50 to 60% of most attraction budgets are typically spent on media advertising in some fashion. So when we say media advertising, we're typically talking media job boards in this case, so Bright Networks, Target Jobs, Grad Crackers, etc. With media accounting for such a large proportion of your attraction spend, it's important to effectively evaluate. And what we want to know is, which sources are you using? Are they fit for purpose for your target audience? Can you share success rates? Are you reaching active and passive candidates? And are you buying the right type of inventory? We do have a session coming up on media engagement, so I'll not dwell on this too much, but some of the things we're looking for are red flags. Are any of your media sources driving disproportionate amounts of certain demographics? So we love the National Apprenticeship Service for advertising apprenticeships, as you can almost always guarantee volume, but we typically see more white males than any other demographic. Has the job board promised you access to 1 million members, but a large proportion never engage, or they graduated more than 5 years ago and therefore don't suit your needs? And are you buying packages but not using all the inventory or not getting the most out of parts of it? Our experience can help you spot those red flags quite quickly. In my time working with early careers attraction, one of the things that's changed probably most is timescales. In the past, if you weren't advertising during the traditional milk round of October to December, you weren't filling roles. What we want to uncover in the audit is, when do you begin your planning process and committing to your next season campaign? When are you open for applications, and how long are candidates in the process for? Do you avoid any particular internal business periods like year end, or can you only get assessors or room bookings at certain times of the year or month? We've run successful campaigns at speed. We've run them post New Year or in 2 waves. But when candidates look for opportunities has changed. 43% of students tend to apply from December onwards. So understanding your restrictions helps us make recommendations that suit both student behaviour and your business as well. When it comes to universities, we're looking to understand which universities you're working with, what type of activity you're doing with them, whether that's job adverts, connecting with lecturers and faculties, or hosting and attending events. We want to know if you have any formal university partnerships and any anecdotal feedback on those that deliver you great quality or quantity of candidates. So now, with 165 universities in the UK alone, unless you've got a bottomless budget, and in truth, most of us don't, you should be focusing on those universities that will give you the best return. This means we're trying to determine which universities give disciplines where your candidates are most successful in role, which universities offer you the best opportunity to widen participation with a good level of diversity by discipline, if we can, and dare I say it, where are the most engaged university career services? They too obviously have peaks and troughs in their availability. So knowing they're still responsive when you're in the thick of it is good to know to help you plan better. We do have a follow-up session on university targeting as well. So that's one of the other subjects that we'll be covering. And we'll talk some more then about how we drill into that data to provide recommendations for a matrix of activities that makes you focus best. We talk a lot about student engagement in this industry, and in your attraction audit, what we specifically want to understand is what opportunities are you giving students to engage with you? Are these digital or face-to-face? Are you tracking engagement or just applications? Is there enough data to track and determine an effective return on your investment? Do you provide opportunities to pre-register your schemes? And do you run insight or brand campaigns to keep those students warm? Gone are the days when it was okay to shout about how many applications you're getting as an indication that you were ahead of your competitors. I'm sure many of you may have seen Bright Network last week released their 25-26 Insight report on what graduates want, and they surveyed over 15,000 candidates. And 57% of students revealed that they're applying for as many jobs as possible, jobs that they're not fully committed to. So we say knowing your engagement rates by source and tracking those candidates through each stage in the process will show that the more engaged students are more likely to succeed, whether that's interacting with your social posts, visiting your website, turning up at events, not just registering for them. They'll better understand your culture and be more motivated to make meaningful applications to your schemes. So monitoring each source and how effectively students engage with it will help determine your true ROI with data that isn't bloated by headlines, partially AI generated applications. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about the collateral, love it or loathe it. Collateral can play an important part in your campaign if you're doing face-to-face events. We're talking not just about the branded pens, tote bags, or power banks that everybody offers that you hand out at student events, but we want to take a look at your exhibition stands and any other in-person material that you might have. So business cards, brochures, leaflets. What we're looking to understand is what your branded presence at a careers event says about you. Are your choices for giveaways responsible, effective, meaningful, or even wanted? Have you optimized the real estate to catch the eye and engage students? Are you ordering too much? Are you spending too much? Are you providing your brand ambassadors with the right tools to effectively engage those students in person? I'm not going to dwell on collateral too much, but I am going to move on to social media. So here we want to uncover what your social media presence looks like. What type of posts are you doing? What channels are you using? Are they specifically for early careers, or are they just careers? Or perhaps you're having to use your main organization's social media platforms. Do you use organic posts or do you dabble with paid social? We're just speaking about engagement. Are you being busy fools, blindly posting out into the ether with no one listening? So when I first started focusing on early careers traction 15 years ago, Facebook at that time, for those that remember, was a little over 5 years old, and it didn't really register on anyone's radar in terms of recruitment. Over the following 5 years, employers were craving being present on all the social channels, and dabbling with inconsistent promotion or posts with no consideration for the end user, not knowing which channels to use or why we were using them. And perhaps most notably, no one saw the connection between posting on social platforms and receiving applications. So now we move on another 5 years, and not only is Facebook really no longer the be all and end all, but organisations are putting the same kind of effort into crafting social content that you might previously spent writing a brochure. Or perhaps they're handing over a degree of trust to an influencer to connect with Gen Z on your behalf. So with social media, you can reach more people, you can be more targeted than you might actually realise, and you can actually interact with potential candidates in real time. And in return, candidates actually want more of you and they want it on their terms. I would definitely encourage you to think about signing up for our upcoming session on making paid socials. Really turn the dial for you in early careers recruitment. You'll be surprised at the results, I think, which could be a real game changer for some of you to your approach to using social as a bona fide recruitment method. If we put aside social media for a minute, then we can talk a little bit more about the written copy and creative. What does it say about you? Is it on brand? Is it aligned to your EVP? Do you have an EVP? How does it compare to your competitors? Gen Z and subsequent generations are a population of natural curators and creators. You want your attraction audit to uncover how your messaging is perceived and resonates with your key audience. In our attraction audits, we actually use our exclusive Gen Z panel to evaluate creative and messaging. It's a guided forum environment to have them review what you're saying and how you're saying it. Is there any perceived social bias in your written word or your imagery? With diverse backgrounds, they'll help us unpick what resonates with them. And if you're doing your own audit of all things attraction, of course, you can ask your own graduates or apprentices on program to share their feedback on the creative materials. Ask them what they were applying when they were applying for their role. How did your adverts look? How did they read? How did it catch their eye or interest in the first place? And did they see other employers with material that also caught their attention? It can be quite subjective, and you can't change everything to do with your brand because they said so. But if you get good representation in your feedback, you can have enough data to draw small insights that could help you make simple tweaks so that your next campaign has even better success. Remember, if you do have any questions, please do put them in the Q&A tab and we'll get to some questions in, I think we've got another 5 minutes or so before you don't have to listen to me ramble anymore. We are on the home stretch now with these last items here. So continuing the more creative theme of auditing your attraction campaign, we always take a look at your website. So your website is where the true digital real estate exists. We're not insensitive to the fact a lot of restrictions can be put on your team about your online presence. Some organisations have only their main website, and you might find early careers mentioned in the careers section. Some you will have a careers website, excuse me, where you might have more of a customised section for early careers, and others are lucky enough to benefit from a whole separate early careers website, which of course brings with it the most real estate that you can influence. So talking about application processes, insights from the programme, graduates and apprentices, video content, more detailed overviews around the roles, potential career path inspiration and other resources that you want to share. Whatever your situation, when we're completing the attraction audit, we're looking for quick wins and long-term recommendations to make sure you're positioning yourself ahead of your competition. By benchmarking your digital footprint, your audit should be able to identify recommendations that can make the best use of what is accessible to you. It's second to last on the list, but it is one of the most important things that we take a look at during the audit, which is campaign data. We have another session coming up in the series where we'll be talking with Morrison's actually about the various review points of an attraction campaign and the benefits of evidencing recommendations with data. So if this is an area of interest, I definitely recommend you sign up to join that. But when it comes to the attraction audit, campaign data for us is everything. We want to trawl over your previous campaign data to draw our own insights. We're looking for what data you collect, how you collect it, what you know about your student applications and their application behaviour, what data is missing, what would help shape a future campaign, and how often you evaluate it, what story is it telling you about the effectiveness of your campaign. Great recommendations that can be simply implemented are the best outcome from your attraction audit, and data is paramount to take it from opinion to evidence. And finally, in our audits, we tend to look at the spend efficiency. So transparency here is key to getting the most out of any attraction audit. What are you spending? And you will be surprised how many organisations have multiple budget pots, but collectively don't have great oversight on all of their attraction spend. Who are you spending it with? What do your results tell you about the effectiveness of your purchases? And are you getting the best market rates from your providers? Now, here our experience actually really comes into play and helps us share insight with you on the financial construction of your campaign. The range of our client attraction budgets varies considerably. So we're not looking to judge the overall budget that you've been given, but look at where you're spending your money and how effective it is. We've got 15 years of insight on what things should and do cost. And our recommendations can help you build a budget framework to help keep you on track. I did promise a whistle-stop tour, so I hope that gave you just a small insight into the questions you should be evaluating to build a baseline for your next attraction campaign. As I mentioned a few times, the follow-up sessions in this series will delve into more of these areas in more detail. And again, I think we're going to have a little look, and I can see at least one Q&A in the chat, which Emma can help us with, and we can see if we can answer any questions for these next 5 minutes or
Yes,
so.
thank you so much. That was so interesting, very engaged with all that information. And it's brilliant that it's a part of a series where you're given more and more. It totally makes sense. But the question has come from an anonymous attendee, but it is, if we're conducting our own audit, but don't have the capacity to cover all the 12 points. Oh yeah, on the slide that you mentioned, which would you say are the priorities? It's a really good question, actually.
We think they're all priorities.
All right. Yeah, no, of course, of course.
So I think you can tell a lot from the data, and that's absolutely where I'd start, is having the data together so that you can evaluate the campaign and you can spot a lot of things in data alone. I think understanding where you are in the market is the next stage, so that you can take a realistic view of your brand in comparison to your competitors, and let's say competitors for talent, not necessarily just competitors in
Good
your
point.
industry and sector.
Yeah.
So those would probably be the top two I would go for.
Right. Okay. Not sure if our messages are being seen by attendees. Can you point people? Yeah, and there's people asking where they can register for the next in the series, right?
I can pop that in the chat, which I think will be available to everybody thereafter.
It is there. I will just recopy it, because you can either register on the ISE site, obviously, and or the Amberjack site, and I will just put that out to the audience, everyone. There we go. There isn't any other questions that have come in apart from they want more.
Well,
which is great that you've got 6 more sessions to go, right?
They're short sessions to make them a little bit more accessible and designed to take in a little bit of information fairly swiftly, but we do have other experts. So next week we're talking about labour market analytics and other data, and we're joined by Horsefly. We've got Bright Network joining us, Graduate Jobs joining us. We've got some of our team doing some insights into paid social along with Adway. We've got Morrison's, as I say. So next time I can promise it certainly won't be me rattling things off for 20 minutes in one go.
Not at all. Really useful. Well, listen, without further ado, I will say thank you to everybody who's attended. Really appreciate your time. I believe the slides have been sent to you. Is that right, Sue?
There will be some follow-ups. There will be 6 key takeaways at 6 o'clock this evening. So you should look out for that in your inbox. And it will also be on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
You take care. Bye.